Hi, happy Aloha Friday.
Hey, everybody.
We are back. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about a common question that we get, which is when is it worth it to renovate prior to listing your home for sale? And what sort of improvements are important to do before bringing your home to market? So we get that question all the time. There are a lot of elements to it, and we're going to start with a question that we get asked, which is, should we tear down the home if it's in really bad shape?
Right. So why wouldn't we want to tear down the home?
So leaving the home on the property adds immense value because it's much easier for a buyer to get financing on a property with a structure on it, even if the structure is just falling apart and uninhabitable and even unsafe to enter. It's still easier to get lending on a property with some sort of structure on it. It's also easier to get building permits if there's some sort of wall standing still. So we always advise our sellers never to tear down the home before bringing it to market because you significantly limit your pool of buyers if you do so. And yeah,
let me add something to that. Within a half a mile of where we are right now, there are 2 remodels going on where they went out and you can tell they got permits and they have pretty much nuked the houses that are there once they had the permits. So the houses were purchased as part of a normal escrow and they got financing on them, and then because you don't get financing during escrow, they were able to get what they call a remodel permit versus getting a whole new package of permits, and it's going to be easier to get that done. The other thing with a teardown, I haven't done one in a long time, but if I had to guess today with costs, if you tear a house down, it's going to cost you $75,000 to $100,000 to get it off of the property. And so you've got the upfront cost, but then you've diminished the value of the property. In Honolulu, if we said, a house as is with a tear down on it, let's say it's worth $900,000. You tear that house down, it's going to cost you, let's call it $100,000. And then you're going to sell the lot for $600,000, maybe $700,000. But we've just cost you a lot of money by tearing the house down.
Absolutely.
So I think the long and short of it is, I cannot think of a situation where it makes sense, if you want to get the most money for a property, to tear the house down. Make sense?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. So if you guys have questions, email us and we're happy to take it on, but I can't think of a reason you'd want to tear a house down.
Yeah, you should leave it.
And just to add to that, I have seen situations where before someone can go in the property, they're required to sign a liability waiver. Because, and I've been in houses where if Lehua and I were standing in the same spot, we would have fallen through the floor. So I can tell you that we have seen some really rough houses, and if you have a really rough house, trust me, you're not going to surprise us.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I've seen a lot.
Cool. So let's move on. What's the next thing on our list?
So next we're going to talk about a key, which is, does making improvements save me or make me money? And it can, depending on what extent of improvements you're making. So there are small things like repainting the interior or sometimes the exterior of the home that can make a difference when prospective buyers are looking at your property. Other small things like changing out the light switch covers or electrical plugs.
Or light fixtures.
Or light fixtures.
Correct.
Yes.
Nominal cost.
Yes, right? Relatively inexpensive, in the scheme of renovations, but that can make a space feel a lot more fresh and comfortable to prospective buyers, where they'll enter a room and not feel like it's from a few decades ago.
Yeah. So, well, what about cleaning? Where does that fit in?
Cleaning is very important. So that's definitely where it's worth investing in what we call a detailer. If you think about washing your own car at home versus going to a professional auto detailer, if you have a professional come in who will really, really scrub every corner, get get, get the grime off, when usually all of us sort of develop at least some level of blindness to our own home,
Mm-hmm.
And so having a professional come in and really just go to town, that makes a big difference. And it's kind of like repainting. That hand in hand with repainting will make a space feel very fresh. And that's super appealing to buyers and does get you more money.
So let me jump on something Lehua said. Really important that you brought this up. We become unaware of how we live, the smells in our house. And I'm telling you, smells have a huge impact.
They do. They do.
And if you're a doggy person, you probably love doggy smell. But most people don't like doggy smell, and most people don't like other people's dogs' doggy smell.
Right.
And if you have indoor dogs, you may not be aware that when someone walks in your house, you could have the most beautiful house, or cats. No, leave the cats alone. I'm a cat guy. But you could have the most beautiful house on earth. It could photograph beautifully, and someone walks in the front door. And if a pet odor hits them, and it doesn't have to be, what we usually call pet odors. It could just, dogs have smells, cats have smells.
Even people have smells.
Hamsters have smells, right?
Yes.
So bringing in a detailed cleaner, and just so you know, we have them too. We get 2 bids minimum. And it's money super well spent because they will take the edge off the property and look at all the little niches and areas that need cleaning. We had one. Do you remember the one? Were you on 9th Avenue with me?
Yes.
With the rats?
Yes.
So,
oh my God.
So we funny story. Yeah. We brought this house on. We're bringing it on the market.
That poor cleaner.
Yeah, he complained.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad.
Really bad.
And he said, did you realize that the cabinets were full of rat droppings?
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't. He goes, this is really a tough job. And I said, that's why we hired you. And he had a mask on. But here's what happened. When you walked in that house, and the only thing we did in that house was clean it.
Deep clean
it. I mean, Clorox in the cabinets. But we deep cleaned that house, and when you walked in, you went from going, oh my God, what is that? And ooh, to you walked in, and it was still rough, but wow, it was clean. The windows were clean.
It became tolerable, and it became non-offensive, right? That's kind of what you want to. What we should, at the very least, right? You don't want someone to walk in and not be able to focus on the house because of details like that.
Correct. So really, the cosmetic items, to me, are things that on a normal house are probably going to cost less than $5,000. Interior paint. You might do some floor covering. You might not. But the deep cleaning, depending on how big the house is typically $750 to $1,000. I've seen it as much as $2,500 on really big houses. Really big or really gross, right? But you want to get that off. But then the question becomes, are there other things? Remodeling the kitchen, remodeling bathroom, and you don't know how many people we've met with where they're immediately talking about remodeling the kitchen or remodeling the bathroom.
And that is something that you don't get your money back necessarily if you do that. I mean, especially because people have such unique tastes to the interior finishes that they like. So if you're remodeling for your own taste and then somebody comes in and wants to make it their dream home, it's kind of a gamble whether they'll love it or whether they'll go, oh God, the bones are nice, but I hate this tile or
why did they
like
pick that color? I've heard that more times, right?
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, it's new, but we're going to have to change it because they picked the wrong color. So I think what you want us to do, or if you're not in Hawaii and we're not working with you, want to do a cost-benefit analysis. How much is it going to cost to do a particular thing? Remodel the kitchen. In Hawaii, it could be every bit of $100,000 for a kitchen. Could it be less? Yes. Might be $75,000. Could it be more? Yes. So a good real estate broker or agent can go in and say, ballpark, it's going to be X. And if we do it, we're going to sell it. And I'll give you an example. If we don't do the work, we're going to sell at 1.3 million. And if we do the work, we're going to sell at 1.4 million. Now, we want to factor in losing the market and the time it takes to do the work.
Right. If it takes you 3 months to complete the work,
Yep.
and for example, right now we're, at the end of May. If you take 3 months, if you take the whole summer, you're missing the whole summer market, which
Correct.
is the busiest time of the year. So
Correct.
That's also an important conversation to have, is about
Absolutely.
timing and how important it is for you to sell.
For sure. If we spend $100,000 to make $100,000, that doesn't make sense.
What's the point?
What's the point? And so what we want to do, what I've noticed, Lehua, is that the person that's going to pay the most money for a property there are two factors. Number one, they might be getting into a neighborhood that they didn't think they could get into, right?
It's a stretch.
It's a stretch, but they've always wanted to be in Kahala. They've always wanted to be in this neighborhood, but they didn't think they could get in. And your property allows them to get into the neighborhood. And number two, what allows that to happen is they can see themselves moving in. So we get it cleaned, we get the paint fresh. The kitchen needs a remodel, let's be honest, but they can live with it. The bathrooms need a remodel, they can live with it. But that person is just ecstatic to get into the neighborhood, the school district, to be closer to the private schools, etc.
Yeah.
Okay? So
one thing I will add, though, I guess, is that if there's, for example, a non-functioning bathroom in the home, maybe the toilet hasn't worked for years and it's kind of turned into a storage, storage closet or something like that. It is worth doing those sorts of basic repairs. You don't have to make it beautiful, pristine or anything, but it is worth having functioning, fixtures.
I'll give you an example, perfect example. I'll leave names out to protect the innocent. We had a property where there were over 10 cats in the house.
Yeah.
And the non-functioning tub was turned into a kitty litter box. Yeah. And so we had to get it, we cleaned it out, and we had to bring in a plumber to get it to drain the tub.
Yeah.
And
that's worth it.
Yeah.
That's worth doing. Yeah.
In that house, perfect example of cleaning again. It smelled like there were over 10 cats in the house.
Yeah.
Right? And we bleached the bejesus out of the house, our people did, and guess what? Big demand, great neighborhood, and we got it sold at a very good price. So let's see what else we have here. Anything else on remodeling, Lehua?
Let's see. I think the main thing left to talk about is yard and outside. So yard is really the first thing that you see when you roll up to a house. And it does make a difference to have generally manicured, it doesn't have to look like a resort or anything, but to have a clean...
If you could, it would be great.
If you could...
At the right price.
At the right price. But yeah, to have a yard that looks taken care of in terms of the walkways are exposed, there aren't a ton of plants growing into the walkways or growing over onto the roof or anything like that. Basically, you want it to look safe, and I think it also sort of sends a subliminal message that the house has been cared for as well, right? When you see a yard that's out of control, it kind of raises questions of, have other things been going uncared for as well? So, it makes a good first impression. It feels more manageable to a buyer to have a yard that's just managed,
Well, and so the other thing too is if you have a view property.
Oh yeah.
I sold a property up in Aleva Heights where through the halikoa and trees, we could see the view.
Yeah.
But we spent, in that instance, it was a lot of halikoa. We spent $2,500 to get it knocked down, and we opened up this 180-degree view that really made a difference, and we sold that house relatively quickly at a relatively good price.
Right.
I'm going to add also to this, how do I put this? Weeds are green too. So I have seen situations where we just show up and we tell the owner, just start watering the dirt.
Just trim your weeds.
and then let it come up and we'll cut the weeds,
Yeah.
we'll cut the weeds, and then when somebody pulls up, we have something green in the yard.
Yeah, it looks
not
more
dirt
welcoming
and gravel.
Yeah,
right? You know?
Yeah.
So now there are permutations on this. We're talking about the worst case scenarios. We do work with properties that don't have these problems, right?
Yeah.
But still, you can do it. You can still.
If you can put new sod in, then that's great. You know.
Carpet. It's like costs as much as carpet.
Yeah. There's
so,
been some, or I know there was a sod shortage for a while.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. $3-4 a foot.
Yeah.
But you want to get the yard cut back. If you know you're going to the market on, let's say, July 1st, and if you get it cut back on May 15th or June 1st, the yard will start to burst. Those plants will start coming back to life if they get some water and they were cut back. Sometimes if we cut it today and we're going to the market tomorrow, it can look, we'll use a local term, ball ahead. but yeah, it's something that's important to do. So before we wrap here, because you're getting hot.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's a hot day today. I don't know how you're doing it in long sleeve.
It's a minor detail, but it's a big detail. I think people see it as a benefit, right? And that's to tent your property before you put it on the market. Two benefits come from it. Number one, people will put right in the MLS, property tented on this date. Warranty will transfer to buyer, right? Number two, your things are in the house when it's tented, and the number one way termites get into houses is through furniture that has termites.
Getting moved.
So before you move, tent the house. Your stuff gets tented, so we know it's termite free. And now we don't have to go through the brain damage 2 weeks before closing of putting a tent on the house. And we just assign that warranty to a buyer. Okay. So before we wrap up, Lehua, is there anything else we've forgotten, we haven't covered on this preparing your home for the market?
Clean it. No, we've covered everything.
Good.
I think, we've already gone over it all.
I'm going to let you say goodbye. No, I'm good. I think we've done a great job.
High five.
Right? By the way, how was that? Would you call it kombucha for the?
The kombucha for monks. Yeah, sorry guys, forgot to cover that this time.
So say goodbye, and then we'll wrap up until next week.
Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Our information is in the description below, and we hope to see you next week, where we'll be talking more about real estate in Honolulu.
Yes, and not monks and kombucha.
Not monks. Okay. Sorry, guys. We had a silly streak at the end of our last one. Anyway, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for joining us. Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.